to recover the monies due to A from C and company. B instructs D, a solicitor, to take legal proceedings against C and company for the recovery of the money. D is not a subagent but is a solicitor of A. So that we have to understand here. Some of the illustrations are given to understand the substituted agent. Substituted agents and subagents both are appointed by agents only. Then let us come to some other illustrations wherein we have to understand the concept. There is one law, that is Calico Printers Association versus Barclays Bank, 1931-145. A subagent was instructed to do the insurance for the principal goods. The subagent did not insure the goods were burnt in a fire accident. The principal could not recover the damages from the subagent. So this is one of the important hashtagged case law, that is Calico Printers Association versus Barclays Bank, 1931-145 LT 51. There is one more case, that is Suman Singh versus National City Bank of New York, All India Reporter, 1952, Punjab, 172. Brief facts: the plaintiff residing in New York sent some money to one Preetham Singh residing at Jalandhar, and he entrusted this work to the National City Bank of New York, and New York Bank, NC, New York Bank of New York appointed a Punjab National Bank to do the same. Punjab National Bank delivered money to a wrong person. Judgment what it has come, the court held that the Punjab National Bank was a subagent and it cannot be held liable for the acts done by negligence. If Punjab National Bank did any acts with fraud and willful intention, then it could be held responsible. So at or in ordinary prudence we should act. Then here so far as the substituted agent is one more section, that is between sections 194 to 195. That is only two sections. Then substituted agent is a person appointed by the agent to act for the principal, the business of the agency with the knowledge and consent of the principal. Substituted agents are not subagents, they are agents of the principal. When the principal appoints an agent, and if the agent identifies another person to carry out the acts ordered by the principal, then the second person is not to be treated as a subagent but only as an agent of the original principal. There is one illustration just now for the sake of repetition. A authorizes B, a merchant in Kolkata, to recover the monies due from C and company. B instructs D, a solicitor, to take a legal proceeding against C and company for recovery of the money. D is not a subagent but a solicitor to A. That is one illustration. Then relationship between principal and person duly appointed by the agent to act in business of an agency, section 194, where an agent holding an express or implied authority to name another person to act for the principal in the business of agency has named another person accordingly. Such person is not a subagent but an agent of the principal for such part of business of the agency as is entrusted to him. Example 1. A directs B, his solicitor, to sell his estate by auction and to employ an auctioneer for the purpose. B names C, an auctioneer, to conduct the sale. C is not a subagent but is A's agent for the conduct of the sale. So these are all one or two illustrations given to understand this substituted agent, and there will be a distinguishing characteristics of a subagent and substituted agent. And as I told you, the section 194 and 195 pertains to substituted agents, and sections 191 to 193 pertaining to subagent. So far as these two things are concerned, that is subagent and substituted agents, we have to make a chart of differences or distinguish between these two agencies. And there is one improper delegation. Section 193 lays down the provisions regarding the improper delegation. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent appointed without authority. When an agent without authority, that is principal's authority to do so, he has appointed a person to act as a sub-agent. The agent stands towards such person in the relation of a principal to an agent, and is responsible for his acts, both the principal and to third persons. The principal is not represented by the responsible for the acts of the person so employed, nor is that person responsible to the principal. So this is improper delegation, that is section 193. Again, to have a gist of section 192, representation of principal by sub-agent properly appointed, where a sub-agent is properly appointed. The principal is, so far as regards the third persons represented by the sub-agent, is bound by the responsible for his acts, and as if he were agent originally appointed by the principal. So this is very, very important point, brought in, enshrined in section 192 of sub-agents category. Then it is also called proper delegation. Agent's responsibility for sub-agent, we have to see it. The agent is responsible to the principal for the acts of the sub-agent. Then sub-agent's responsibility, the sub-agent is responsible for his acts to the agent but not to the principal, except in case of fraud or willful wrong. So there only he will be responsible to the principal. Then there is ingredients we have to understand, that with regard to third person, the principal is represented by sub-agent. He is bound by and responsible for his acts as if he were an agent originally appointed by the principal. The agent is responsible to the principal for the acts of the sub-agent. Then now I have come to one more slide, that is distinction between sub-agent and substituted agent. The sub-agent, section 190 to 193 explain the rules about the sub-agent. Then section 194 to 195 explain the rules about the substituted agent. A sub-agent does his work under the consent and directions of the agent. A substituted agent works under the instructions of the principal. The agent not only appoints a sub-agent but also delegates to him a part of his own. Then in case of substituted agent, the agent does not delegate any part of the work to a substituted agent. Then there is no privity of contract between the principal and the agent. Then privity of contract is established between a principal and a substituted agent. Then the sub-agent is responsible to the agent alone and is not generally responsible to the principal. A substituted agent is responsible to the principal and not to the original agent who appointed him. The agent is responsible to the principal for the acts of sub-agent. The agent, in case of substituted agent, the agent is not responsible to the principal for the acts of the substituted agent. The sub-agent has no right of action against the principal for remuneration due to him. The substituted agent can sue the principal for remuneration or any remuneration due to him. The sub-agent has no right of action against the principal for remuneration due to him. Then sub-agent may be improperly appointed. Then the substituted agent can never be improperly appointed. This is very, very important distinguishing factor here between sub-agent and substituted agent. The agent remains liable for the acts of the sub-agent as long as the sub-agency continues. So that is in respect of sub-agent. But substituted agents, the agent's duty ends once he has named the substituted agent. So these are all the differences we could make out. There is one another difference that is under substituted agent, that is where an agent holding an express or implied authority to name another person to act for the principal in the business of agency has named another person. Accordingly, such is not a sub-agent but an agent of the principal. For such part of business of agency as is entrusted to him is commonly known as substituted agent. So this can be there is one important thing we have to understand, that both sub-agent and substituted agent are appointed by agent only. And you see, there is so many illustrations for this particular sub-agents and substituted agents. Now I'll talk about the substituted agents as one or two examples. That is, A instructs B, merchant, to buy a ship for him. B employs a ship surveyor of good reputation, chooses and ship for A. The surveyor makes the choice negligently and ship turns out to be unseaworthy and is lost. B is not, but the surveyor is responsible to A. So that is what the illustration. The another illustration is for substituted agent. A consigns goods to B, a merchant, for sale. B in due course employs an auctioneer in good credit to sell the goods and to sell the goods to A, and allows the auctioneer to receive the proceeds of the sale. The auctioneer afterwards becomes insolvent without having accounted for the proceeds. B is responsible for A for the proceeds. So these two illustrations we can discuss under this substituted agent. And there is one more important case law, that is a problem is like this. A directs B is solicitor to sell a estate by auction and to employ an auctioneer for the purpose. B names C, and auctioneer. With this would like to conclude my this video, and any improvement is welcome, feedback is welcome. And with this I have to go to next slides, that is section 211 to 225, rights and duties of agents. Thank you everyone for listening to me. And there is one small about Dell Credere agent I wanted to talk about. That is Dell Credere agent, that is Italian word, applied to an agent who guarantees the buyer's solvency. Definition: where an agent undertakes on the payment of some extra commission to be liable to the principal for the failure of the third party to perform the contract, he is called Dell Credere agent, and his extra commission for the guarantee is called Dell Credere commission. There is one case law also in this, that is Champaram versus Tulsiram. The Allahabad High Court explained the liability of the Dell Credere agent. It is in the following words: the Dell Credere agent incurs only a secondary liability towards the principal. His legal position is partly that of the insurer and partly that of the surety for the